This one's about.
What'd you say, sis? What was that?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I was speaking in Dutch.
Okay. No Dutch too? Wow. 2:57. Here we are. Hello. Thanks for coming back. Let me remember what my purpose is. Feel like we just talked about this.
Yeah, but good. We can do it again.
Yes, we will. Let me remember what my purpose is. Well, that was interesting because at the conclusion of the last one, we were talking about purpose being the floor of the doer and the I know mind and the need to know, right? All of that, a will apart from God. Okay, so let me remember what I'm certain he means my real purpose is.
And I would add singular.
Okay, let me remember what my real and singular purpose is.
Ego can't stand that.
If I forget my goal, I can be but confused. I can only be confused, unsure of what I want, and thus conflicted in my actions. No one can serve contradicting goals and serve them well, nor can he function without deep distress and great depression. Let us therefore be determined to remember what we want today, that we may unify our thoughts and actions meaningfully and achieve only what God would have us do this day. Interesting. I will come back. Father, forgiveness is your chosen means for our salvation. Let us not forget today that we can have no will but yours, and thus our purpose must be yours as well, if we would reach the peace you will for us. Let us not forget today that we can have no will but yours, and thus our purpose must be yours as well. Okay.
Can we just go back to the beginning again, flesh this out so that, so that it can drop in deeper. Mm-hmm. Let me remember what my purpose is. So our real and singular purpose, while being here seemingly within the dream, is forgiveness. And yes. I can see that somebody's just driven up in your driveway.
Yes, that's okay. Door's locked.
Am I a mind reader or what?
Did you see it in my glasses?
Yes, I did. I saw the reflection.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. So you don't need to answer the door.
No, I don't think so.
Good.
Go ahead.
So this is it. This is forgiveness. But I mean, how can we, if that's what our singular purpose is, not just today while we're doing this lesson, but every day, then at a practical level, wouldn't we put everything we have towards setting that goal in advance?
Absolutely. Yeah. If it's the only thing that there is to do, right? Which is what yesterday's lesson made so clear, that forgiveness is the only way to the memory of our true self, to reality. Let's just cut it to make it very simple. If we want reality and not illusions, then it's through forgiveness. And so now he's saying this is the importance of remembering that that is our sole purpose, our only function here. While we still identify as mythical me, there's one thing that we can do that's helpful, practical, loving, and healing, and that is to be devoted to the practice of forgiveness and recognizing that this is God's will, right? This is the way to God's will. Let us remember our true identity as God's will. So if our will is the same as God's, then our purpose is the same as God's, as he says below. And I think it's interesting. Anybody here relate to the deep distress and Great Depression while we're trying to serve two masters, the ego and Holy Spirit, a split mind of insanity? Yeah.
Well, let's face it. I mean, if we really do believe we're mythical me, we're going to say, and we're on the journey, the Course in Miracles journey, we're going to say, yes, I mean, there are times where I can forgive and it's justified, but there are times where blame is also justified. Anger is also justified.
Yeah. Based on what? The physical senses, right? Like what we're perceiving, what mythical me is doing and involved in the dream. So we're serving the body in its sensory testimony and mythical me story. And then we try for a moment, oh yeah, right, that's the dream. And we waffle back and forth between reality and unreality. And by this time, he's asking us to really see this split and stay undivided in our devotion to this, the forgiveness.
Okay. And you were telling me yesterday, I think, sis, that there's a lot of unrest in the world today.
Yeah.
Yes. So there are a lot of calls for love.
Right. That's how Holy Spirit views it. That's how our right mind, your right mind, our right mind views this as all a call for love, a call for correction. But if you're mythical me, you're giving it through your perception, you're making evaluations and judgments, you're picking a side, and then you're becoming self-justified, and you're saying, my brother is wrong and I am right. We are so far gone, so far down under innumerable layers of judgment and defense and separation.
That's why we need to set the goal in advance, right?
That's right. Yeah, before the feet hit the floor in the morning, and even before we close our eyes at night, which is why these practices are so great, morning and night, at the very least. But to set, there's one mind. God is my mind. I'm going to stick with these practices here. The only thing that I need to do today is practice forgiveness whenever I'm agreeing or triggered or seeing something, that's not good, that's not loving. My job, my only function, and the only way I can be truly helpful is by forgiveness. I want to be part of the solution. The only solution.
Yeah. Okay. So this is where the positive separation comes in.
Yeah, nothing else works. I mean, the ego would have us fight at the level of itself. Manipulate a brother, yell louder, be more forceful, anything at the same level of the suggestion at the ego thought level. It's just a roundabout. It's a dog chasing its tail. There will never be any cure, as we have seen over the thousands of years, right? Nothing works. Nothing works. And it's funny, I read something this morning, Holy Spirit says, when there are no losers, when every brother wins, right? Nobody can suffer, nobody can lack. There is no loss. And that occurs when we recognize that we are one. No division, no private interests, no differences. That's when, hopefully, I think God will take the final step, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And again, at the practical level, on a daily basis, how many times do we get triggered? Let's just face it. Yeah.
Well, if you turn on the news, it's like, you're going to see something.
You don't even have to turn on the news. We had a massive storm here the other day, and we've been kind of loving this gorgeous bird that's built a nest in the cactus in the front yard. And she was sitting on the eggs for, it seemed like a month. And then finally they hatched, and she had 3 gorgeous, fluffy little babies. Yeah. And then the storm hit. And of course, the nest ended up going from horizontal to this angle. and the two of the babies fell out and died in the storm. Yeah. And in that moment, if you're a loving, caring human being,
Yeah,
does that cause distress?
sure it does.
There's one. I caught myself,
Sure.
that's my Achilles heel, is animals suffering.
Mine too.
All right. So I saw that, and I saw the tiny little baby that was left was hanging on for its life in the nest, in this cactus. But there was no way to get it, the human hand in there to try and right the nest, etc. See how complicated it can get?
Did you write it?
I had to write this first.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So I had to remember, wow, if I'm fearful, from that fear, as soon as I believe in what I'm seeing, and then I go to using the ego's brain, the split mind, to try and problem solve the situation as I see it, I'm gone.
Yeah.
I'm down that rabbit hole.
Right.
Right. So I realized that the first thing I had to do was the forgiveness.
Right.
That's it.
That takes
Right
a lot of
there.
mindfulness. Yeah.
Right. That is where real help comes in.
Yeah.
And then to actually let go of the solution that the ego was perceiving. I had to let go of control. I had to let go of trying to save this little baby bird. And then trust that he will give me the inspiration if it's required.
Yes.
To seemingly problem solve the situation. Yeah. But that didn't happen till a lot longer than I would have liked. Yeah. Yeah. So just let me say this, that at the form level, the problem got solved. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because we have to catch the thought at the gate.
Yes.
We have to catch it before we go and run off to try and solve any kind of issue with our kids or with our with our loved ones in general.
Yeah.
Or with the world. Yeah. Because what I saw with this little incident the other day was I saw going down that rabbit hole was I saw that the only thing that needed to be forgiven really was my belief that I'm separate.
Yeah.
That's it. That belief is what needs to be completely healed until the next trigger comes along.
Because there is no physical bird with a nest with 3 hatchlings that could be carried away by torrential downpour and babies dying. That's not going on in God. And that is an image that arises within a dream that talks or tries to communicate or suggest to our mind through empathy and sympathy. We look with our eyes and we go, oh my gosh, and we get all contracted, and then the I know mind kicks in, right? Holy Spirit's not on the scene at all. We're just like, I know what this is. This is real. Something needs to be done. I'm going to do it. Run out and try and fix, an unreal problem. However, he's saying, stop, recognize, and it's not that easy, right? Because everybody in this planet's going to go, well, of course you run out and you help the baby bird. Are you heartless? Right? The whole world stands there and would say that you're off your rocker if you don't run out in that second and help the baby bird. It does take radical mindfulness in that moment to say, okay, it's that spike. The spike I had at seeing this is what the ego wants. Because in that spike, we call that fear or terror or concern or whatever. It's blocking the memory of the love that we are, the awareness, the remembrance, of our true identity.
That's it.
And so sis had to stop and rock back and go, wait a second, turn from the false appearance and come back to sanity. And in that moment, right, now that we're back in sanity and made the correction in our mind, if there is anything for us to do that would be helpful to another, even including a so-called animal, we'll be given that inspiration. Excuse me, inspiration. It may not be to do anything at all, and it might be, but the one who knows the broader picture, knows what it's for and how to heal our mind, will tell us. And it might not be to do something. We don't know. We can't know from this vantage point.
No. And the knee-jerk reaction the ego has to any so-called emergency like that comes from fear, because it comes from the mythical me. So it comes from fear. And
Right.
what I mean, I'm getting it more deeply now, is anytime I try and solve a problem from fear, it can't be solved.
Right. And we're adding to the problem.
We are. The only place it can be healed is in the peace of God, is in that holy instant.
Yeah. Thank you.
Where we give our choice to be separate, or our belief to be separate, over to him. And then not just that problem is solved, but countless others are solved, because, it's holographic or quantum, it just runs out and through everything.
Yeah.
The mind, the separate me, is so limited, and it operates from fear.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a projection from your mind.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah. So the problem that we see, it's not out there, it's coming from our mind. And it's a wish, it's a desire for fear. Hey, I need an injection. I need something to bring me back into the mythical me. I need to see something so that I can react to it, so I can be a God apart from God, right? So in that recognition that this is a projection from my mind, is there anything that really needs to be done? I mean, these are higher levels, okay? But always this is an illusion. It's not out there. This is an invitation for me to leave my holy self, come back, find that peace, and then inquire from the one who knows, what would you have me do? And that's applicable to everything that we're seeing, from baby birds in nests to mask mandates, to vaccinations. It's everything that's going on in the world. It's not going on in the world. It's a projection from the mind that we share. The sleeping mind is projecting all of this chaos. Is it to go out there and pick a side and to yell louder, or is it to withdraw and make the correction at the level of thought where it's all originating? Isn't that actually the answer?
That's it. That is the actual undoing of the guilt that caused our initial fear in the first place.
That's right.
Right. Yeah. Well, let's just go straight to the source and heal that through forgiveness.
Heal the guilt. Yes, thank you. Through acceptance of the atonement, that the separation never occurred. None of this is going on because none of this is in God.
Oh, that feels so good.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I've got to take myself through this process like all the time. And sometimes I'm better at it than others. And if you're really down the rabbit hole, you join. So simple. Grab a brother or sister that's not down that rabbit hole with you, that can just simply look at you, even with a look, and snap the mesmerism.
Beautiful.
That's a lot. Thanks, family. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So how's the baby bird?
Trust you to ask that question.
Okay. I love you. I'll just leave it. Okay.
Mother and baby are doing fine.
Good.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Okay. Thanks,
Bye.
Bye.